Hi, this is George Alger. Welcome to today's segment of Our Ventura TV. Today we're going to be speaking about Ventura County safety. And joining us is Commander Jim Fryhoff, who is running for Ventura County Sheriff. Welcome, Jim. And can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Thank you, George, for having me today. I appreciate you. Well, good morning. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a 31-year veteran with the Sheriff's Office. I was hired when I was 19 years old. That was when I moved to Ventura County. I had been a cadet before that down in Pasadena where I grew up, but I transplanted here to Ventura County 31 years ago. I've had the opportunity to work all over this county. I started in corrections. I worked up in Ohio as my first patrol station, where I was awarded the Medal of Valor. I was a field training officer. I was on bike patrol. I was involved in an officer-involved shooting. For those that remember, July 17th, 1996, my partner, Peter John Aguirre Jr. was murdered up in Miners Oaks on a domestic violence call where I was involved in a shooting with that suspect, which really galvanized my career at that point in my focus on what we can do to keep ourselves safe and our community safe and really engaging with our community in a meaningful way. I've promoted. I worked back at the Honor Farm. I worked patrol in Camarillo, special enforcement, detectives. I became the first countywide expert on identity theft back in 2000 when identity theft really first took off. So I had an opportunity to testify as an expert in court on many people's cases. Was once again promoted, was sent to the jail, where every time you get promoted, you go back to the jail. I oversaw our investigative unit inside our facility called the classification unit. Then I was transferred out to Thousand Oaks, where I worked crime prevention, where I really started building programs for our community. I came up with a threat assessment program, which is designed to keep our schools safe. And it's a understanding that in 80% of all school shootings, somebody knows about the attack before it happens. So we want to really get that information in our hands from whether it's parents, students, or teachers, volunteers, so we can act on it quickly. There was the sheriff's adjutant for both Sheriff Brooks and then Sheriff Dean. Promoted to captain, went back to Thousand Oaks. I was the assistant chief of police in Thousand Oaks for 5 years, where I developed a couple of programs with our community, as well as created the first vulnerable population position in Thousand Oaks to specifically work with those experiencing homelessness. I was assigned as the chief of police in Ojai, where I was there for 3 years, where I really got to galvanize a community together with law enforcement to keep crime low and keep us safe. Was promoted, sent to Thousand Oaks, where I worked for another year and a half as the chief of police in Thousand Oaks. During the beginning of the pandemic, as well as the social unrest as a result of the George Floyd incident. And then was recently transferred to custody, where I oversee the largest division in the sheriff's office. I oversee all the main jail, our Todd Road facility, court services, the juvenile justice center, and the East Valley courthouse and East Valley jail as well. So quite the experience. I've had the opportunity to lead at a lot of different levels within the organization, and being endorsed now by the Deputy Sheriff's Association, our Corrections Office Association, and the Service Employees International Union. Every employee that has an association has endorsed me for this run for sheriff.
Very good. So let's talk about Ventura County safety. And just to ensure we're all on the same page, what does safety even mean from the perspective of policing an entire county?
Well, great question. So safety for the entire county. So the sheriff is the highest ranking law enforcement official in the county. And so has general obligation to every resident. Now within our county, there's 10 incorporated cities, 5 have their own police department, and 5 contract with the sheriff. So you may be in a city that is policed by the sheriff's department, or in a city that's policed by your own police department. But even with your own police department, the sheriff has an obligation to ensure our safety. And so working with those other agencies is really important. So for me, I've also been endorsed by Santa Paula, Port Hueneme, Oxnard, and Simi Valley Police Office Associations as well, because of my longstanding history of working with these other agencies to collaborate to make us safer. So what does safety mean? Do you feel safe walking outside? Do you feel safe going to your car? Do you feel safe leaving work? We have seen on the news, I'm sure everybody has seen, that crime has been on the rise in regions around us. Ventura County is still relatively safe by comparison, but we can't let our guard down. We need to be ever vigilant and work together to ensure all of our safety. That's making sure that our citizens are reporting things that they see that are unusual, knowing that they can call law enforcement and we're going to respond in a manner that's going to bring credit to our organizations and make our community feel better. One of the things that I want to make sure that we have is community partnerships. Law enforcement can't be done in a vacuum. our public safety is not done in a vacuum. This is done collaboratively together. For most cities, they've embraced a 9 p.m. routine, for our citizens. At 9 o'clock at night, make sure your lights are on outside, make sure your cars are locked, make sure that you didn't leave any belongings in your vehicle that are valuable, because it becomes an opportunity that we're trying to remove. So our goal is to work together to ensure all of our safety.
Okay, very good. And you commented on the safety of Ventura County relative to the surroundings. Are you able to staticize that in some way?
The statistics have not come out for this past year, so I cannot give you an exact number on where those numbers are, but they should be being released soon, not just for our county, but for the surrounding areas as well. Usually by the time they get reported to the FBI, that happens usually in mid-February.
Good. Now you mentioned the coordination with other groups. Is there something that you could advise individual residents? You talked about the 9 o'clock thing, but I mean, as far as just a more, or whatever advice you might have to help improve safety.
Absolutely. Be aware of your surroundings. A lot of people nowadays can be distracted by our devices, which are all encompassing of our time. Being aware of who's around you, what you're doing, so that you don't make yourself vulnerable. If people see that you are not paying attention, you make yourself vulnerable. If you're walking alone rather than a group, you make yourself vulnerable. So you want to make sure that you are aware of your surroundings, that when you're in a place where you can be with other people, that's a good thing. If you're not, make sure you're paying attention, have your keys in hand. Like I said, Ventura County is a very safe community, but for those that commute in and out of LA, other counties, it's really important for them to be aware of their overall surroundings for their safety. And like I said, the physical structure, making sure your lights are on in your home at night, make sure you have a well-lit path, ensuring that your windows are locked at night, to make sure that you don't make yourself a target. When I was in crime prevention, they had a program called CEPTED, and the abbreviation was for Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. So there's things you can do that are creative and attractive that also add to your security. If you have windows, planting rose bushes below your windows is a crime prevention tool, because criminals don't want to be cut up by thorns. So by having those type of things allow you to still beautify your home and also add an extra layer of security without bars and et cetera being on your home.
Very good. Now, sort of taking this from a different perspective, for residents who interact with the police, whether it's because they need their help or let's just say, traffic infractions, is there any advice you might have for how to best or appropriately interact with law enforcement?
George, that is a great question. And I'm surprised that this is not yet in some type of a DMV handbook. But as officers make car stops, they have no idea who they're stopping. They have no idea what crimes they may have committed, or if they're just a citizen just trying to get to and fro. So my suggestion is always, when you pull over, roll your windows down, turn your car off, and have your hands on your steering wheel. Your hands is what's going to hurt law enforcement, right? That's what the first thing we're looking for. And although as a citizen, you're not wanting to do any harm, and so you may be trying to be efficient and start reaching in your glove box for your paperwork and your driver's license, et cetera. But for us, that's the worst thing you could do, because we don't know if you're reaching for a weapon or something else. So by keeping your hands on the steering wheel without saying a word, what you've conveyed to the officer is that I don't want to hurt you. And I guarantee you the conversation will go much smoother no matter what, once that is established.
Thank you. Jim, we're just about out of time here. I wonder if you could share a website with viewers who might want more information, and if you have a summating message for the viewers.
Yeah, thank you very much, George. Once again, Ventura County, I'm running for sheriff. I'm endorsed by our Deputy Sheriff's Association, our corrections officers, our Service Employees International Union, and all the other law enforcement agencies in the county, with the exception of Ventura, who has opted to stay out of this particular election. I want you to be safe. I want our officers to be supported. I want them to be led in a way that is going to bring credit to our organization, bring safety to our community, and protect us all. The election is June 7th. Please vote.
Thank you, Jim. We're going to wrap things up now.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. This is George Alger signing off for this segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we meet again.